Are the compound interest of self improvement. The same way that money multiplies through compound interest, the effect of your habits multiply as you repeat them. This seems to make little difference on any given day, and yet the impact it delivers over the month and years can be enormous. It is only when looking back to 5 or perhaps 10 years later that the value of good habits, the cost of bad ones, becomes strikingly apparent. This can be a difficult concept to appreciate in daily life. We often dismiss small changes because they don't seem to matter very much in the moment. If you save a little money now, you are still not a millionaire. If you go to the gym 3 days in a row, you're still out of shape. If you study Mandarin for an hour tonight, you still haven't learned the language. We make a few changes, but the results never seems to come quickly, and so we slide back into our previous routines. Unfortunately, the slow pace of transformation also makes it easy to let a bad habit slide. If you eat an unhealthy meal today, the scale doesn't move much. If you work late tonight and ignore your family, they will forgive you. If you procrastinate and put your project off until tomorrow, there will usually be time to finish it later. A single decision is easy to dismiss, but when we repeat 1% error day after day by replicating poor decision, duplicating tiny mistakes, and rationalizing little excuse, our small choices compound into toxic results. It is the accumulation of many missteps, a 1% decline here and there, that eventually leads to a problem. The impact created by change in your habit is similar to the effect of shifting the route of an airplane by just a few degrees. Imagine you are flying from Los Angeles to New York City. If a pilot leaving from LAX adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, you will land in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. Such a small change in barely noticeable at takeoff. The nose of the airplane moved just a few feet, but when magnified across the entire United States, you end up hundreds of miles apart. Similarly, a slight change in your daily habits can guide your life to a very different destination. Making a choice that is 1% better or 1% worse seem insignificant in the moment, but over the span of movement that make up a lifetime, these choices determine the difference between who you are and who you could be. Success is the product of daily habits, not once in lifetime transformation. That said, it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. That matter is whether your habits are putting you on the path towards success. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current result. If you are a millionaire but you spend more than you learn each month, then you are on a bad trajectory. If your spending habits don't change, it's not going to end well. Conversely, if you broke but you save a little bit every month, then you are on the path towards financial freedom, even if you are moving slower than you like. Your outcomes are lagging measures of your habits. Your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habit. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habit. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habit. Your clutter is a lagging measure of your cleaning habit. You get what you repeat. If you want to predict where you will end up in life, you all you have to do is follow the curve of tiny gains or tiny losses and see how your daily choices will compound 10 or 20 years down the line. Are you spending less than you earned each month, Are you making it into the gym each week? Are you reading books and learning something new each day? Tiny battles like these are the ones that will define your future self. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Habits are double-edged sword. Bad habits can cut you down just as easily as good habits can build you up. Which is why understanding the details is crucial. You need to know how habits work and how to design them to your liking so you can avoid the dangerous half of the blade. Your habit can compound for you or against you. Positive compounding. Product, productivity compound accomplish and one extra task is a small feat on any given day, but it's count for a lot over an entire career. The effect of automating an old task or mastering a new task can be even greater. The more tasks you can handle without thinking, the more your brain is free to focus on other areas. Knowledge compound. Learning one new idea won't make you a genius, but a commitment, lifelong learning can be transformative. Furthermore, each book you read not only teach you something new but also opens up different ways of thinking about old ideas. As Warren Buffett say, that's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. Relationship compound. People reflect your behavior back to you. The more you help others, the more others want to help you. Being a little bit nicer in each interaction can result in a network of both and strong connections over time. Negative compounding. Stress compound. The frustration of a traffic jam, the weight of parenting responsibilities, the worry of making ends meet, the strain of slightly high blood pressure by themselves, these common causes of stress are manageable, but when they persist for years, little stresses compound into serious health issues. Negative thoughts compound. The more you think of yourself as worthless, stupid, or ugly, the more you condition yourself to interpret life that way. You get trapped in a thought loop. The same is true for how you think about others. Once you fall into the habit of seeing people as angry, unjust, or selfish, you see those kind of people everywhere. Outrage compound. Routes, protest, mass movement are rarely the result of a single event, instead, a long series of microaggressions and daily aggravations slowly multiply until one event tips the scales and outrage spread like wildfire. What progress is really like? Imagine that you have an ice cube sitting on the table in front of you. The room is cold and you can see your breath. It is currently 25 degrees. If ever so slowly, the room begins to heat up. 26 degree, 27, 28. The ice cube is still sitting on the table in front of you. 29 degree, 30, 31. Still nothing has happened. Then 32 degrees, the ice begins to melt. 1 degree shift, seemingly no different from temperature increase before. It has unlocked a huge change. Breakthrough movements are often the results of many previous actions which build up the potential required to unleash a major change. This pattern shows up everywhere. Cancer spans 80% of its life undetectable, then takes over the body in months. Bamboo can barely be seen for the first 5 years as it builds extensive root system underground before exploding 90 feet into the air when 6 weeks. Similarly, habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. In the early and middle stages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. You expect to make progress in a linear fashion, and it's frustrating how ineffective changes can seem during the first day, week, and even months. It doesn't feel like you are going anywhere. It is a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. This is one of the core reason why it is so hard to build habit that last. People make a few small changes, fail to see a tangible result, and decide to stop. You think, I've been running every day for months, so why can't I see any change in my body? Once this kind of thinking takes over, it's easy to let good habits fall by the wayside. But in order to make a meaningful difference, habit need to persist long enough to break through this plateau. What I call the plateau of latent potential. If you find yourself struggling to build a good habit or break a bad one, it is not because you have lost your ability to improve. It is often because you have not yet crossed the plateau of latent potential. Com- Complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. Your work has not wasted, it is just being stored. All the action happens at 32 degrees. When you finally break through the plateau of latent potential, people will call it an overnight success. The outside world only see the most dramatic event rather than all the preceded it. But you know that it's the work you did long ago, when it seems that you weren't making any progress, that makes the jump today possible. It is the human equivalent of geological pressure. Two tectonic plates can grind against one another for millions of years. The tension slowly building all the while, then one day they rub each other once again in the same fashion they have for ages. But this time the tension is too great. An earthquake erupts, change can take years before it happens all at once. Mastery requires patience. The San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful teams in NBA history, have a quote from social reformer Jacob Riis hanging in their locker room: "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at the stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two, and I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before." The plateau of latent potential. Results, value of disappointment, where you think should happens, what actually happens. Figure 2, we often expect progress to be linear. At the very least, we hope it will come quickly. In reality, the result of our efforts are often delayed. It is not until months or years later that we realize the true value of the previous work we have done. This can result in a valley of disappointment where people feel discouraged after putting in weeks or months of a hard work without experiencing any result. However, this work was not wasted, it was simply being stored. It is not until much later that the full value of previous effort is revealed. All big things come from a small beginning. The seeds of every habit is a single tiny decision, but as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts and grows stronger roots entrench themselves and branches grow. The task of breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a powerful oak within us, and the task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. But what determines whether we stick with a habit long enough to survive the plateau of latent potentials and break through to the other side? What is that cause some people to slide into unwanted habit and enable others to enjoy the compounding effect of good ones? Forget about goals, focus on system instead. Prevailing wisdom claims that the best way to achieve what we want in life, getting into better shape, building a successful business, relaxing more and worrying less, spending more time with friends and family, is to set a specific actionable goal. For many years, this was how I approached my habit too. Each one was a good to be reached. I set goals for the grades I wanted to get in school, for the weight I wanted to live in the gym, for the profit I wanted to earn in business. I succeed at a few, but I fail a lot of them. Eventually, I began to realize that my results had very little to do with the goals I set and nearly everything to do with the system I followed.